Can you believe we're already at Christmas? Where has this year gone? And I've definitely got that voice in my head saying, and so this is Christmas, and what have you done? And what have I done? Well, it's a great time as the year is coming to a close to just reflect on everything that has happened this year and everything that I've learned. Another year over, and a new one just begun. Okay, I need to stop her now, or we can go on all day. Let's get to it. Hi, I'm Eva and welcome back to my channel. I'll be here with new videos every Friday evening on all things work and career. This video is about what feels like the 10 years worth of changes that have been thrust upon us this year, and knowing that I'm incredibly fortunate to still be working, I want to embrace it and learn as much as I can from the experience. Before we dive in, if you got here, I'm sure that you have some of your own learnings from the last year, and I would be so grateful if you would please comment down below and let me know what are the things that you've learned so that we can take them into the new year together. So from the silly to the very serious, I want to hear it all. If you are interested in more videos about building amazing workplaces and meaningful careers, then please subscribe and hit the bell for a weekly dose of entertainment, inspiration, and more importantly, practical tips. First learning of the year. Don't go to the toilet during a Zoom call. It's not what you expected, right? Now, you probably didn't need me to tell you this, but I promise there are actually two lessons in this. But this year we've all got used to mixing our very personal home space with our professional life. So there have been many embarrassing moments that have come as part of that. If you've had screaming kids in the background while you're trying to make a call, or you forgot to put yourself on mute while you were discussing your dinner plans, and that poor girl, that's just got to be the worst. But the lesson is that if you say you're going to be in a meeting, why have we suddenly forgotten all of our manners just because we're behind a screen? If you were in the office and you were having a face-to-face meeting and someone was just like, responding to emails, clicking on stuff, not really paying attention, that would be rude, rude. So I really just think that we should give people, if we say we're going to be somewhere, give that person our undivided attention. And if you're actually setting up some of these meetings and you see everyone being completely disengaged, I mean, did you need that meeting in the first place? Is it something that you could have updated by email? So maybe try and reduce all the meetings that you have just to go over updates, because that's not entertaining for anyone. But also, it's about the conversations that we would have. So if we were all in the office and in the same space, we'd probably ask, how was your weekend? And then you have a little chat about that. But you can't really force that on a video call, because if you've got 6 people, that means that every single person is listening to the one person that's talking. And for some people, they might not mind sharing their story with the entire group, but others don't want everyone watching them while they're just recounting the events of the weekend. So don't put people on the spot. You can't really force the conversations in the same way. So make sure the meetings for updates or for any decisions that you make are short and necessary. And the second lesson is really just maintaining a level of professionalism. Now, I'm not going to lie, this has been my workspace. But even though that's been my work environment sometimes, this morning I got up, got showered, got dressed, got ready, and it's much easier for me to bring my best self to the call. Now, I'm not saying we have to do this every day, but I do think it does make you feel better if you get up and bring your game face and you're ready to be professional and be the best that you can be at work. My second reflection from this year is that finally businesses are starting to appreciate much more how employee engagement leads to business performance. And really, this has been a long time coming. Previously, a great company culture was considered a perk, but right now I think it's necessary for every business. Especially during a time of crisis, it's been shown that employee engagement is a much better indicator of that company's success. So the businesses that are really investing in the well-being of their employees are going to be the winners in the end. We know the benefits. Increased well-being not only increases workplace engagement, but also performance and productivity. In fact, reportings of burnout and overwork virtually disappear in workplaces where employees feel engaged and they feel that their individual strengths are valued. I guess it's all well and good to say that in theory, but how can you actually drive more engagement and better well-being for your employees at work? So particularly this year, it's brought me to thinking about 3 things. Now, the first is you have to make it happen. It's not just going to happen spontaneously that your employees are going to feel that the business really cares about them. Previously, you might have been able to do that because you bumped into people in the office all day and you just had these spontaneous conversations. But I like to think about it like an old married couple who just arrange and go on a date night every week. You have to schedule it in, so keep the meetings that you have with your team weekly going. Make sure you're attending the one-to-ones. Also, make it an effort to just call someone in your team once a week and just have a catch-up and see how they're doing. Try to remember about what's going on in their lives, and also ask about that if you don't already know. The second way to do that is to empower your managers to empower their teams. We know that the transition from individual contributor to manager is always a challenging one, where you have to go to now becoming a coach and a mentor and a psychologist, particularly when it's been a really difficult year. So I think a lot of managers were not prepared for this. So make sure you're giving your managers enough support, enough training, so that they can then in turn empower their teams. And from the manager's perspective, you have a lot of work to do here. You need to be speaking to your teams regularly. And that brings me on to number 3, which is giving employees feedback. There is a strong positive correlation between the frequency that people receive feedback and the engagement that they feel within the company. And yet, 1 in 5 employees only receive feedback once a year. Now, what's interesting about that is even the employees who receive negative feedback would rather have that feedback more frequently so that they can know how to improve. So this is something that's incredibly simple for you to do as a business. Make sure you find out what's the best way to give feedback, making sure that it's constructive, and give people the best opportunity to do a great job. If you're interested in learning more about happiness at work and how you can drive that to drive performance and productivity, there's an amazing book called Freedom to Be Happy, The Business Case for Happiness by Matthew Phelan, which talks about just that. I had the honor of interviewing Matt as part of a panel discussion earlier this year, and I'll link to that video at the end of this as well. Learning number 3, how to set a team's background. And again, I told you this was going to get silly, so just go with it. And the reason I think it's so important is we've all had a tough year, but in any work environment, it's great to just add a little bit of joy and a little bit of fun. Now, I'm in a commercial role and I manage a team, so I speak to people probably 7 hours a day. I'm on the phone. But for some people on your teams, your conversation with them might be the only interaction that they have all day. For people who were living alone, they didn't have a lot of interactions with other people. So I think it's really important to just have 5 minutes where you have a great conversation and you have a little bit of fun. Here's a little demo from me on how you can set any kind of Teams background you like. Okay, so here I am giving another software demo. Feels like I'm right back at work, but this is how you set a background on Teams. So you go to More Actions, the 3 dots there, go to Apply Background Effects, and they've got a load of images that you can already use. So I've already been at the beach, but it's also meant that I've been able to host the Analytica Awards ceremony that we had. And I've also had this Christmas background going just while I've been on all of my calls over the last couple of weeks. So you can also set any image you want to this. So I've just gone online and I've gone to pexels.com. They allow you to have a lot of free stock photos, and you could just search for something like Christmas background. So you can see a lot of festive backgrounds here. I'm going to go for this nice red one. You can just download that. Say thanks to Tony. You can share that later if you like. But if you just go back into Teams, I've got that image downloaded now. You can add a new one. So I can add a new one from my downloads, and I can take that image from Tony. That will appear in just a second. There you go, click apply, and you have a Christmassy background. I hope you enjoyed that, and I actually think there's another reason this is important. Not so much the team background, but making sure that you're having a little bit of fun and injecting some joy into your conversations. And I'm sure that everyone has at least a little bit struggled this year or not been in their best condition and their best mood. But even if you're having a hard time, what I've noticed is when I'm jumping on a call with someone on my team who might be more junior, I just assume that they might be having a harder time than me, and I put all of my energy into just bringing a positive attitude into that call. So I don't let everything that I'm struggling with just to come out in that conversation. And coming out of that conversation, even if I wasn't having a great day before, I find that I feel a lot better because I've made the day just a little bit brighter for someone else. In the spirit of spreading a little joy, let's cut to a 10-second dance break. Learning number 4, I don't have time is a myth. Wait, I can already hear the roars of complaint, and look, this doesn't have to be your learning, but it was definitely mine. Being busy all the time and not having time to do anything was a story that I used to constantly tell myself. And in fact, I had a conversation with my CEO, and I said, well, I just can't finish all of the things that I have to do. And he said, do you think I ever finish all of the things on my to-do list in one day? I was confused. And he said, no, I just pick the 3 most important things and I make sure that those get done. So this year, a lot of people have just been given back this whole amount of time. It might not be the case for parents or if you have other responsibilities at home, but a lot of people have been given a significant chunk of time back from their lives if they just started working remotely, from just not having to commute into the office. So let's say you gained 2 hours, also all hobbies, all activities, seeing friends was all cancelled and off the cards. So you probably gained back a lot of time. And I still found myself saying, oh, I'm so busy, I have so much to do, there's just not enough time. And this just made me realize that it's completely not true, not for me anyway, and it's a choice. So there is always enough time to do those 3 most important things. It's just a matter of being a priority, of making something a priority. So I'm no longer perpetuating this story that I tell to myself, but also to other people that I'm busy and I'm stressed and I'm overworked, because that's very much a choice. So next time you kind of feel like you're drowning in it, just pick the priorities of the most important things that you have to do, and then just make boundaries for all of the others. And you'll find that you have a lot more time. And my final learning from 2020 is to just keep an open mind. Now, if someone had told us 12 months ago that we would be spending most of the year at home, not being able to go out, not being able to see our loved ones, we wouldn't have thought it was possible. And I'm constantly impressed by just how resilient, how resourceful, and how positive and inspiring people can be. We thought it wouldn't be possible to work remotely, and so many businesses are doing just that now. Or we thought that it wouldn't be possible to stay connected, and yet we found so many ways to do that virtually. I'm looking at you, Zoom pub quizzes. So the most important learning and reflection from this year is that there are always going to be changes. Some will come more quickly than others, but if we just keep an open mind, we can always find a way to get through it and find a way to do things a little bit better. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear any of your comments and thoughts in the chat and what learnings you had. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the bell to subscribe for next week's videos.